There was this whole joke about, oh my God, send me to the mental asylum. I've been to one. It's not fun. Mood swings, you can't sleep. It's not just like, oh, squirrel. Oh, I've got OCD because one time I put my cup in wrong and I didn't like it. It's like OCD is intrusive thoughts and it is like you cannot escape your own head. Trust me, it's not. You can have mine if you want. You won't enjoy it.
Finger didn't come with you.
Yeah, it was stuffy. I was like, what, 12? Like, my body image issues kind of spiraled, all this stuff kind of spiraled, and that's really when my eating disorder really set in. And I just remember this girl coming up and just hugging me from behind because this other chick had just been like, why does her back look like that? So yeah, I was out for 6 months again and then ended up going to an IC or PQ because I was sectioned.
How did you get to the end? How did you get past?
I was about to say the same thing. How did you bring yourself out of that?
It was meeting people, making friends, making connections, learning about the world. It was normality around me. They were like, let's get fucked up.
Hey guys, crack open a drink because we are back with another episode of the Blue Podcast with me, Mackers and Tom. How you doing, mate?
I'm well, thank you, mate. How are you today?
I'm very good. Busy day of podcasting today, but I'm very excited for it because today I've got a little intro for this one today. We have mental health advocate, online fitness and mindset coach, as well as funny and inspirational TikToker, as well as a very good friend of mine.
Good. Yeah,
India Black. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Cold. That's what I am.
Yeah. It's not sunny here, is it?
It's not. It's abysmal. I don't like it. It's really bad.
For people that don't know, India loves going abroad because you don't like the cold.
India doesn't like the cold. India has bad circulation. So,
where have you been for the last, how many months is it?
I'm going to go with 5. Let's go with 5.
5 months.
Yeah. No, it's weird. So we started off, we went to Hawaii because I went with my boyfriend, we were paddling. So we do outrigging, which is like, Moana with the boat, but take the sail off.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so they have this like really big it's a race. That's it. And then so we did the race and then we did this like 10-hour channel crossing and got really fucking hectic. And then so we were there for about 3 weeks. We did Oahu as well and Big Island and the others. And then we went to Australia and New Zealand. And
nice. Well,
sounds very nice.
Yeah,
the reason I am asking you about Australia is because we do our icebreaker questions. Ask 2 questions each. If the person gets it wrong, they drink sparkling water.
It works better if the forfeit is alcohol, but today...
It does.
Yeah, today we're keeping it chill.
It's 12 o'clock on a Sunday. There's no need for alcohol at all at this time.
No, but the topic for our icebreaker questions is Australia.
Okay.
It's Australia.
Makes sense, right?
Okay. Yep, absolutely.
So I'll kick us off with the first question.
Right.
Okay.
These are multiple choice and it's a complete guess.
Yeah. It's just a bit of fun.
Yes.
Okay, awesome.
Okay, so which of these actors is not Australian? We have A, Ben Mendelsohn, B, Isla Fisher, or C, Carl Urban. Now, if you don't know who any of those actors are, so Ben Mendelsohn is a villain in basically every film. So have you seen Rogue One, the Star Wars film?
Yeah.
He's a villain in that. Okay, have you seen Captain Marvel?
No, I have.
You have?
Yes,
okay, he's the villain. He's the Skrull in that, the guy with the lisp.
I know who you're talking about.
I've forgotten it.
Yeah.
I've got ADHD. I can't remember a lot of
That's
things
okay.
at the time.
Right, we'll go. You can base it on whose name sounds most Australian then. Ben Mendelsohn, Isla Fisher, and Carl Urban. Carl Urban's in The Boys. He's Billy Butcher.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I know that one. Who's on
there?
there?
And Isla Fisher is the ginger-haired actress that's like a comic actress. She's like a funny one. She's
Carl
in...
Urban then.
Well, the Australians really like bullying gingers, so...
She's in trouble.
I'm going to say Isla's not Australian.
I'm going to say the guy from The Boys.
Oh, can I change my answer because he knew which one it was?
I might be wrong. I've got
go B.
You're going B? Okay.
Yeah.
It is actually Carl Urban, yeah.
But
But Carl Urban's from New Zealand, so...
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh.
He just sounds a bit British in a lot of stuff he does. But yeah, Isla Fisher, surprisingly, is a ginger Australian.
She doesn't sound very Australian.
have you heard her speak?
Have you seen her not with an accent?
True, that's very true. Yeah, that's a very good point.
They're not always going to sound Australian.
That's true. That is true. How many years would it take to go to all the beaches in Australia if you went to a new one every day? Is it A, 6 years, B, 29 years, or C, 72 years?
So it's like 365 beaches times by however many years?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to let the expert have a first crack at this.
Australia's really big.
It's massive.
Yeah.
I really don't like losing. So this is what was it, 6 or 72?
6, 29 or 72.
I'm going to go 72 actually, because Tasmania counts as well.
Christ. I'll go 72 as well then.
Have you guys done the maths there?
Yeah.
No. It's not
365 times 72.
Yeah, because like, what classifies as being a beach?
apparently there's over 10,000 beaches. It's 29 years.
Oh, are you serious?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually thinking about it, that's
Actually,
that's
no,
like
that was such a
30,000
stupid answer, wasn't it?
I don't know why I followed you down that path as well.
If you think about the mass, that's a lot of beaches.
It's like 30,000
I'm
beaches,
really
yeah.
bad at kind of understanding distance.
Okay. That's quite an issue if you're doing your... whatever that was called again.
Yeah, well, I don't have to understand the distance because I don't steer the boat.
Okay.
I just...
Just all.
I actually cut my head open in Australia on a fan because I can't do distance. I got a scar there.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, I thought that... I kind of thought I was ducking under it, but I wasn't. I was ducking, like, right into it, and it was going at full speed.
Oh.
Yeah.
That sounds... How was there a fan... Wait, what kind of fan was this? I'm
It
sorry, I
was a
need to hear
ceiling
more details.
fan. You know, like one of the ones...
Yeah, but how was it that low?
I was stood on the bed because there was a spider on the wall, and Callum was really drunk, and I was like, do I get rid of the spider? And he goes, yes. And if an Australian tells you to get rid of a spider, you get rid of a spider.
Yeah.
So I go to, like, get a book to hit the spider.
Okay.
But instead of ducking under the fan to step off the bed, I kind of ducked, like, into the fan and fell. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh my
okay.
God.
Well.
I have a sub question to that. How big was this spider? Because I am not
Tiny,
a fan of
absolutely
spiders.
minuscule. It was literally this big.
Oh.
Yeah, so it kind of makes the story even better, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was expecting some hairy monster.
Massive tarantula, yeah.
Yeah, but that wouldn't kill you, though. Like, it's actually the smaller ones that are the problem.
Oh, so we're not talking like just like a house spider that you find in the UK, like that is poisonous. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, one time Callum had a redback in his shoe in the living room, and they'll kill you. So he was just like, "Oh, there's redback," and his cousin was like, "You should probably kill it." He was like, "Oh yeah." Wow.
Oh, okay, just casual, yeah.
You get, it's so weird. You get so used to it. It's one time we would, okay, look, see, now I'm just gonna harp on.
No, go for it, yeah.
Point of a podcast.
Yeah, there we go. So I'm just going to chat shit and you can enjoy it. So we were hiking up Mount Tubbergargan, and we're hiking in thongs, which are flip-flops, because you know, we kind of like stupid.
Yeah.
We were doing it in Hawaii because we didn't have trainers, and then kind of just fucking never do it in Australia ever. Such a dumb idea. Anyway, so we're like hiking, we've got up like a K, and Cam's like, "Oh look, there's a lizard." So I turn around to go and like see this nice little lizard, and there's a fucking snake on his foot, like a whole ass snake. It was a small one because it was like a junival, slithers over his foot and goes into the bush. And I'm like, "Morris, that was a snake." And he was like, "Oh, what? I thought it was like a slithery stick." Australian, by the way. This man is blue-blooded Australian. You know, I was like, what? So apparently, like, he'd seen the lizard being chased by the snake and had gone, "Oh, lizard," and I'd gone, "Oh, snake." You know, I'd kind of seen it.
Yeah.
Anyways, and so it doesn't stop there. The bush next to me is like hissing a bit. And I'm like, "Oh shit, okay, let's go down the mountain." So we start like going down the mountain, and I step, and there's a snake curled like right there, like right next to my foot. So I scream and I like jump. I've never jumped this high in my fucking life. Jumped so high, like screaming. And I've startled the poor thing. They don't have ears, but they can sense vibration. So I've like stomped and jumped. And it's jumped into the air and like wiggling towards Callum because he's behind me, which is in the direction of the bush. So it's kind of like finally he's there. It's kind of gone that way. And so I'm running. I've gone. I've like survival instincts kicked in. I've run. And I just hear this like from behind me. He's a big man.
Okay.
You know, he's hit those falsetto notes. Anyways, and we're both like fucking sprinting down this mountain, and we figured out afterwards they were Eastern Browns, like Junival Eastern Browns. We reckon there was like a nest somewhere, and they kind of like hatch.
My God.
And they're like one of the most deadly
I was going to
snakes in
say,
the world.
Yeah.
I remember with Deadly 60 back in the day. Those were
Deadly
definitely on
60.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and with the junivals, if they bite you, kind of like with the adults, they can give you like a false bite, which is like a warning. But the junivals haven't kind of really understood how to inject, so they'll just put all their venom in you.
Ooh.
So we were fine, but it was kind of one of those things where you go, I don't really fancy hiking anymore.
In flip-flops?
Yeah.
In flip-flops, yeah.
Yeah.
No. So that was Australia. It's wonderful.
Yeah, it sounds
we'll get
fantastic.
back to that
Do you know what? That's one of the reasons I probably would never want to go to Australia, just because I'm not a fan of the creepy crawly stuff.
Yeah.
You kind of get used to it, though. I think it's one of those things that is actually like I used to hate spiders, but you walking along the street and there's like a huge golden orb in the bush and you're just like, they're not going to do anything. So you kind of get used to it. So actually it's been great because coming back to the UK, I'm like,
nothing poisonous.
Nothing is an issue because it's not going to hurt me. And I used to be shit scared of spiders. I still am, but they kind of don't really fuss me as much because over here they're kind of like small and don't really do much.
Yeah.
It's like,
Maybe it's just the exposure to it is what's required then. You just see it all the
therapy,
time.
that was exactly it. Yeah.
So, anyway, I'm going to segue from spiders and snakes into a platypus.
Oh, wonderful. Okay.
So my next question is obviously Australia's home to platypus.
Yeah.
But what is its top speed? Okay, so we've got A, 6 miles an hour. We've got B, 12 miles an hour, or C, 22 miles an hour.
I cannot imagine a platypus going 22 miles an hour.
I think 22. I think this might be a little funny because I know they're fast in the water. They got those big tails.
Oh, are we counting land
Water
running or swimming?
Honestly, my Google search didn't extend to what mode of activity it was we did.
Okay. If we're like on land, I'm going to say 6 miles an hour.
Okay.
But if we're not on land, I'm going to say B, not C. I think C is a bit excessive.
I
you're
think
going-
C. I'm going all out. Speed, power, platypus.
I'm nervous about him cheating because it is 22 miles an hour.
Are you
I don't
serious?
know I don't know how it's getting to 22 miles an hour.
Australian
but-
accent?
No?
That sounded too
Oh. No.
I really hope the microphone picked that up.
It is 22 miles an hour. I don't know how you've done that because I couldn't possibly imagine
'cause
a platypus going 22 miles
I just
an hour.
instantly
neither
thought
can
of
I.
a platypus like being let back into the wild, going into the water. They're fast off the mark on the water. So if I'm
They must be.
2 miles an hour fast.
clearly,
So actually, I just know nothing. That's what I've learned.
actually, I know more about Australia than anyone else here.
Yeah, no, exactly. There we go.
Which
Yes,
feel
because
like
he's done an extensive Google
I did
search
a
on
lot
it as well.
The Google search this morning was really extensive.
I'm going to smack
That's how it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, with my grandparents, you met my grandparents.
I have indeed, yeah.
They used to live in Australia.
Did they?
I've heard a few stories.
No way. How long do they... Where were they... Sorry. Where were they and then how long did they live there?
Both fantastic questions.
Thank you,
that
thank you.
I have no idea what the
Good.
answers are
Good.
for. A
Great
while,
grandson.
A while. They lived in Indonesia as well. Like all the islands above. I think they've lived in some of them up there.
Oh,
So they've had their fair share of manta rays coming up from underneath them as they're swimming, and very cool. But back, we got to finish off these icebreaker questions. We're getting very sidetracked. This is the first time the icebreaker questions actually led to serious.
I like it though.
You're
Yeah,
welcome.
Good,
what a
good.
storytelling we've
I
got
can
on the
actually
podcast
talk
today.
to a wall if you want me to.
Well, that's why we've got Mackers here because
Oh,
he's
wow.
basically.
Basically the same thing. Yeah, good.
Thank you very much.
It's accurate.
This is why I don't like bringing friends onto the podcast.
Because they know you too well.
Yes.
Yeah.
To be fair, we had that with Nick. Not Nick.
What, did he compare
That's
you
a
to a
future
wall as well?
one.
Yeah,
One of his mates came off for the Christmas special.
yeah, but he knew everything about me that obviously just some of it went over.
Yeah, over my head anyway. Australia created a very important driving law in 1970.
Oh,
What is it? Is it A, wear a seatbelt? B,
They only just decided that in the 70s.
I-
B,
Awesome.
no drink driving? Or C, no driving wearing flip-flops?
did you know Australia is the only place where beer is a legal tender?
Huh?
Australia is the only place where beer is legal tender. You
Yeah.
can pay someone in beer.
Wow.
It's
That's
related to the drink driving. That's also the ADHD coming.
No, that's okay.
Sorry.
That's actually a cool fact. That's
a
like
very interesting fact.
trading
You're welcome.
chickens back in the day.
What was the last one? Because
Don't drive.
I'd already
flip-flops.
gone off on a
So,
mental tangent.
it's you have to wear a seatbelt, no drink driving, or no driving wearing flip-flops.
I'm going no drink driving.
They all drive with flip-flops on. So, I'm actually going to say the seatbelt.
Okay.
India is correct.
Fuck yes.
How did they only just decide that? in
It's
1970?
apparently the law was only got put into place in the world in 1970, and Australia was the forefront for it.
Wow.
Yep.
That's fun.
Yeah, it's very out there. I was very surprised when I was doing my research. I found this website with like 140 fun facts about Australia.
Wow.
And you
so we
picked
could have
out-
140 icebreaker questions.
I
We'd have been here a while.
flicked up, stopped, saw seatbelt. There's my.
See, okay, good stuff.
Well, that's what the icebreaker questions are. They aren't anything
Nothing too serious.
Too crazy.
Yeah.
But besides the platypus,
I was going to say actually.
That's quite a good one.
Yeah, thank
I'm
you
very very proud of you for that one, Tom.
Yeah, no, sorry. Well, India, I have to ask because obviously we've touched on you traveling around quite a bit, and I'm more just curious why you do it all the time. You said you've been away for 5 months. What is so bad about the UK?
I've heard this before.
Many things.
Many things that I kind of find difficult. I don't know. I guess kind of like the lifestyle here is great for some people, and I'm just not one of those people. I don't know. I find the cold really difficult. Like I get so cold. I've been wearing like 3 hoodies, and today I was like, okay, maybe I'll wear 1 hoodie and my big coat. It was a bad idea. It was really bad. I have really bad like circulation. I get seasonal depression, so it's really bad. So like I'll come out in like January and February, and I'll just be like, I just can't function. And I think also, I mean, just like traveling the world is just like the greatest thing. I know, straight first, and then I can talk to you in a minute. So traveling the world is probably one of the greatest gifts that you can ever give yourself. I think like learning and experiencing all the different cultures, the different people, the different lifestyles, like there is no better way to like better yourself than just experiencing. I think also it kind of really develops you into a much more whole person, and it kind of enables you to really connect with what you actually enjoy, what makes you really truly happy. And I think that's really what the most important thing is. You can kind of like spend time developing yourself. I really love the sea. I just cannot cope with the English sea.
Yeah.
It's freezing.
That's how we met on the English sea.
We did meet on the English sea, yes. And actually, you know what? When I was younger, because I was spherical, so I just didn't get cold. And then I've kind of like leaned out a bit as I've gotten older, and so now I just get really freezing all the time, which is quite unfortunate because I had some great survival like backing there.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I also just the wildlife. Like I absolutely love animals. I love the wildlife.
Apart from snakes.
I had a pet snake.
Oh, you did.
I did.
You did.
She was called Storm.
Yes.
She escaped one time. It was manic.
I can imagine.
I forgot about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Wow, that was a while ago now.
It was a while ago.
How long ago did you have her? Really thrown it back.
Maybe like, how old am I? 21. Minus maybe like 12 years, 13 years.
Oh, okay, so
Yeah.
a while ago, yeah.
Yeah, this was like, it might have been, I don't know. Let's say like 10 years old ago.
Yeah.
She was a Carolina corn snake. She was
Yes.
red and orange, and she was called Storm. Because I read a lot of fantasy novels as a child, which I think was fucking fair enough. They
Yeah.
were great. They were good.
Can't fault that at all,
It was a
yeah.
good time. It was a good time. So yeah, no, she was called Storm. But yeah, I think it's like, you know, when like I was paddling in Australia, you know, we've got these huge waves, it's super warm, I look down in the water and there are like dolphins. Apparently there were some whales we went over. I didn't see them. I'm quite unobservant occasionally. I don't know how you miss a pod of whales. I managed it. It was impressive at the time. And like jellyfish and stuff. And then you go paddling in the UK, because like, we're meant to be paddling in the Thames, right? And we tried to go last Wednesday. It's pissing down with rain. I'm stood there. I'm like, I cannot feel my hands and my feet. And what I see in the Thames is like a cauliflower. At one time I put my hand through a used condom.
Oh,
and
no.
turning.
No.
That was really difficult.
How do you know it was used?
Why would someone take a condom out of a pack, like roll it out and chuck it in the Thames?
Very fair point, actually.
I can think of a few things, but let's not get into that.
Okay, you know what? Fair enough.
I want to hear the answer. I want to hear the answer behind that. I'm very.
Okay, I'm going to be honest. So it looked like their use had. I just remember looking at it and going, I'm gonna get a disease.
Yeah.
Go on then.
Well, do you remember that challenge where people used to drop condoms on their head? That could have been
I do remember that. Yep.
Could have been a sex education class at school, and it fell out someone's pocket.
It's like a quick fire round, right?
Like
This
they put
is
it on a.
impressive,
I'm not going to do the hand gestures, but they put it on a banana.
Why not?
Because it's on camera.
Yeah.
That's just off the dome, you know. There's a few there.
Yeah. No. Fair enough. I'm
trying to just make you feel a bit better that you dodged used condom.
It was definitely a used condom. There's no way I can kind of like give myself any peace of mind there.
Yeah.
I've had to come to terms with it. Really.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty not so great. But anyway, on a more brighter note, if you could recommend 3 holiday destinations, or not necessarily holidays, but you know what I mean, like going out, travel the world,
Okay.
3 places that any like late teenager should go to, where would you say?
Oh. Loads of people like loads of different things. So maybe.
Based on your own
Yeah,
experience.
try in your opinion.
I think go to like Central America. I went to Costa Rica, and although it was kind of in lockdown, and I eventually got COVID, and I actually split my chin open on the floor.
I remember
It
that.
was great, yeah.
Wow.
On my birthday, I was blackout drunk. Anyways, but it was awesome. Like the culture over there, I think you can learn a lot about a completely different part of the world. So Costa Rica is great. Australia's great because it is so easy to get a visa. So you can get like a working visa, you can go over. There are so many programs you can go and do. You can meet so many people. The culture is also quite similar, so you're still speaking English. I reckon it's pretty sick. And then
Last but not least.
maybe if you don't want the airfare. Sorry,
Is it?
burping a second.
That might be the sparkling water.
It was a sparkling water.
Yeah.
Hawaii's expensive. So as a late teen, maybe don't go there because you won't be able to afford things.
Yeah.
But it is beautiful. I'm going to say New Zealand then.
Ooh.
Okay. Yeah.
It was awesome. Like adventure. It was the same with the visa thing. Like you can go over, do some cool things. So
I have to ask though. This may sound a very stupid question, but what are the main differences between Australia and New
Is it
Zealand?
the sheep?
What?
That's why there's like loads of sheep in New Zealand.
New Zealand is actually, funny enough, quite like here.
Right.
The weather is very different. We only did North Island, so they are really different. It's like Australia's a lot hotter. The culture is kind of it's a bit different. The beach is different. The
Different
lifestyle
how?
is slightly different. So, like in New Zealand, it is just farmland. When you get out of the like cities, it is just acres and acres and acres of like wild. You either have like grass and like farmland, or you just have like mountains. So like it has the most incredible scenery. Like it has beautiful mountains and all this different stuff. But it's like kind of like going through a UK forest in a way, and they don't have any of the dangerous animals. So
Okay.
it's the climate's very different to Australia. And I went when they were coming into summer, and I'm wearing like a hoodie and joggers, and in Australia it's like 30 degrees already. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's quite.
It is actually quite different then, because if you think about it, and if you've never actually been, like I haven't actually been, you think they're obviously very close together, and they're all often like talked about in the same group.
Yeah,
so you think that they're almost identical, but I guess they are actually very different.
I mean, also the history is quite different. So like the Maori, the like culture and the history through New Zealand is obviously very different to kind of like the Aboriginal influence, and obviously what happened in Australia with like people coming over and then the Aboriginals and kind of like genocide that happened. So it's really, the past culture is also very different, and you can see the impact in New Zealand of that like Maori influence and the like, I don't know. So I guess like we went to Auckland and the museum there and learning about all the like Polynesian influence and all that stuff is kind of like super different to the cultural influence that you have in Australia. It's just kind of.
You say Australia rather than Australia.
Okay, so maybe
I'm just wondering if is that is that just because that's what they said? I'm guessing you've been there for 5 months, and obviously like
I've also lived with an Australian family. For
you
very
pick
long
up
time.
I guess like a lot of the mannerisms.
I've started saying righto, like righto, which is like
I heard you say it at the start.
they just say
actually,
it all the time. So I seem to have picked that up as well.
Are there any other common
Possibly.
Australian phrases that they say a lot?
I really enjoy saying. It's just great. It's wonderful.
It's a great word.
Might have to beep that
It's
one.
funny, yeah.
But that's fine.
No.
I think everyone knows what. It's what I say at the end of every podcast. See you next Tuesday. So
Yeah, see you next Tuesday. Exactly. I don't know. I think also the people. You just learn. They're like obviously you get two-faced people everywhere, but in the UK, you know the kind of like culture is like very.
yeah.
I'll say one thing to your face and then one thing behind your back. In Australia,
Of course,
it's very
yeah.
like you're a dick. Sweet, and I really like that because that's kind of like what I'm like. You kind of know where you stand, and so probably I found it actually coming back has been a bit weird because like you're talking to people and it's just the conversations that you have like they're so much more friendlier as well over there. So it's actually really odd coming back over here and having people that just look really miserable all the time. So yeah.
So is everyone just happier over there then?
There's a lot more happiness over in Australia. I think it's kind of like the sun would have a big impact on that.
Okay, yeah.
Vitamin D.
Vitamin D. I was going to say.
They're kind of very like laid back. generally. They kind of, I mean, in the Sunshine Coast, which is where I spent like most of my time, but kind of going really around Australia. We went down, we did like a 10-day trip down to like Sydney and back for the New Year. So we kind of saw like Coffs Harbour and Dorrigo Rainforest anyways. But like, yeah, they're just a lot more friendly. They just don't really care.
I do love Australian TikTok, I can't lie.
It's good TikTok.
It's so good.
It's so good, isn't it?
What's it
It's
like? Because I've not experienced this.
It's just
a
like,
lot funnier.
they are hilarious.
And it's kind of like you'll find the odd like, oh, look what I found in my air vent, massive fuck off spider.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, sweet, good. You know, it's a lot more entertaining than English TikTok.
Yeah, no, it definitely is.
I did enjoy it.
On TikTok though,
Yes.
you have been a TikToker. You are a TikToker. Is that still your passion right now? Or?
Yeah. Actually, funnily enough, I'm trying to kind of like get back into the swing of things. I think funny thing about social media is I actually hate it. Which I probably shouldn't be saying. But I don't know. I feel people are very egotistical. And when I went to all of these like influencer events and stuff like that, it was really difficult to find genuine people. And I don't like that. Because, you know, they'd be like, one time we went, so I did this thing with Samsung. And then we had, they invited me to their like launch of the Galaxy Z Flip 3 thing. Anyways, and Charlie XCX was there. And we had to do some work for her. So like people were taking like content and doing that jazz, and then she did like this like mini concert inside this room, and you'd see people like take out their phones and like enjoy having a really good time, and then like put their phones away, and it would just be like dead.
Ooh.
And it's just the culture I find.
I should not have bought sparkling water.
You know, if it had been lemonade, I could have really produced some great content for you there. Really.
TikTok clips would have been flying at that point.
They actually would, yeah, absolutely. No, but like, I think, I don't know, I really lost kind of what I was doing on TikTok because firstly, like my content kind of changed. I started in lockdown just as like doing shit to kind of pass time, bit of comedy because I'd just done my acting diploma.
Yep.
And then I got like featured on Lab Bible, which is kind of crazy. And then you get just, there's this fucking Facebook mums, man, they're shit. And they were really nasty. And I was like, I can't have a good time.
Wait, really? So what was that like?
It was just like, oh, she's trying too hard. Or it was like a thing as British people do, which I would never want to make now anyways because I hate it here. But also it's kind of like, you know, like, I don't know, I was just like, you know, in school this would happen, or do you remember those like, you know, the cake with the custard that you'd have every dessert?
Yeah.
And, like, it was just, you know, it was a series people really enjoyed, but people were like, that's, you know, she's trying too hard, like, what is this? It's not even funny, blah, blah, blah. On TikTok it's not that bad. On Facebook it was really bad.
That's interesting because we get more of a hate. Actually, Instagram. I mean, what did someone call me yesterday?
Oh, I don't know if I can repeat it on camera, but just
I'll beep it.
Some bloke just said. Like we posted a video, but anyway, we found that TikTok is probably the most toxic place on the internet. So it's interesting you say Facebook.
No, but this was like 2 years ago.
Okay.
This is when I started TikTok, and now I'm kind of like looking at also I want to do like travel stuff, maybe I don't know, but like looking at. There's so much judgment. There's so much like everyone's got an issue with everything. Everyone is like, this is offensive, that's offensive. No, it's not. Like actually, a lot of the stuff they're like, you're not, you know, there's so much I could say, but like people are not educating themselves and then they're passing judgment on everyone else. They're kind of going, you can't say that because of this. And it's like, well, have you actually researched the case? There's so much like toxicity. There's so many lies. Like people just start stuff for clout. There's, you know, a lot of people want attention and TikTok is just this place where like people hate or they just, you know, they look for something. And so going back to the question about TikTok, like I found it, I'm trying to also kind of like find what makes me happy again, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. So like going to Hawaii, going to like Australia, going to New Zealand and stuff was time really. I've got loads of footage and I do want to make some videos and I want to edit and I do want to get back to it in my way and stuff that I find fun and what I would actually want to share with people. So yeah, I think I'm coming back to it.
Yeah.
After taking a bit of a hiatus. Yeah.
Fair enough. And as someone who has experienced mental health before, having that hate online was that very difficult? Because obviously a lot of your content was quite mental health positive. Yeah. And then to obviously hear that feedback, what was that like for you?
So, well, I actually didn't really get any hate on TikTok. Kind of like when I did like more mental health stuff, I never got, I was actually really lucky there. I didn't really get people who had an issue with it. It was really only kind of like the one time ages back when Lab Bible did like a compilation of my British Things video on Facebook. Everyone seemed to have a problem with it, even though there was nothing politically incorrect or kind of like, it was just meant for people to kind of like connect to or find amusement from, you know, all that jazz.
Yeah, find it relatable. That
Exactly.
was
It was just
aim
kind of,
there.
I mean, I was bored in lockdown. What the fuck else are you going to do? Like, you know, you had a lot of time on your hands.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like, I think I haven't experienced a lot of it kind of recently. But I also, I've not been very present recently. But like earlier in this year when I was doing stuff, it's not atrocious. But I think mental health wise, there's a lot of pressure. And I felt a lot of pressure kind of like, I'm a perfectionist as well. So I was like, oh, what I'm producing, I kind of like don't really want to do, or it's not good enough. I want things to be like cool. Like I want this to be like I didn't have any ideas, and I was in the UK, which I don't find inspiring at all. You know, I wanted to do travel stuff or adventure, and I couldn't do that here. And yeah, it's just kind of putting videos out. It's kind of like freelance work when you get to a point where you're kind of like, you can profit off working online and working with brands. And it's just, there's, you know, you go, oh, is this going to be good enough? Or is this going to, you know, have a place here? Are people going to understand this? As, you know, you kind of put a video up, and kind of earlier last year, really at the beginning of last year, I had struggled with seasonal depression. So I was coming out of this and just going like, I'm so fucking down. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. And like, so posting things on TikTok and kind of trying to be present online was really, really draining and really taxing. I don't know, I feel like there's a lot of eyes, and it's something that I couldn't, I didn't want to, I was so burnt out with it all. And so, yeah, when I went, I just don't want to fucking do it anymore.
Yeah. I guess it fell to that point. You know, you talked about the persona that people put on, especially in the UK and the influencer scene. Did you feel like at that point you were becoming part of that problem and you were putting on this fake act for TikTok?
I didn't think I connected with putting on this persona. It was more, I didn't have anything to put out. So I was like, you know, but it was stressful because I wanted to, I was like, do I want to continue with this journey? Like, it was just kind of like I'd built a platform, and like, you know, there were some really cool opportunities that could have come out of it. But I was like more struggling with who I was outside of social media. So it's kind of like then trying to figure out what you want to put onto social media is completely overwhelming. And I didn't want to be one of those people that was just, you know, being fake, or just, you know, I wasn't inspired, and I didn't have any creative spark, so there wasn't any kind of like, oh, you know, I've got ideas. And even if I did have an idea, I'd kind of go like, oh my God, and then I have to film it, and that's overwhelming because like I have to edit it, and then it might not be good enough, and I, you know, all this jazz. And that's kind of really where I was sat with it. So yeah, got on a plane. It's great, actually. It was wonderful.
Really, it fixed the problem.
Yeah,
So
no, it's good.
Sometimes having a break is actually more important because, as you can say, how long were you doing TikTok for before you got necessarily burnt out?
So I started TikTok.
About a year?
Yeah, probably just over that. So I started TikTok. When was COVID?
2020.
Yeah.
2020. So
Early 2020.
yeah, maybe like April, May 2020 was when I started TikTok.
Yeah.
Then I'd say maybe like a year and a half. 2021. 2022.
Maybe.
So like maybe like a year and a half.
Yeah.
And then like in that like 2021 winter, I was kind of going,
Yeah.
oh, I don't know what I'm doing. And I kind of got management, and I'd done some things for like the Hilton Hotel and stuff. But I'd love to work with like countries and doing like tourism, because I really think culture is beautiful. I think like different places are beautiful. I think it's really important to educate people about different places around the world. There's so much for us to learn, right? But yeah, I went to Abu Dhabi, did some really cool shit. But I was kind of like, whilst doing that and whilst getting these deals with my management, I was super burned out already then. And I was going, I don't connect with the content I was doing before. Don't know what I want to do now. I don't know what I want to do in my future. I feel like crap. And so, I started paddling at the time, and actually outrigging was one of the things that actually really helped me kind of focus my energy. Because also, like, after COVID, I think a lot of young people were struggling. They didn't know what they wanted to do. Like, I didn't end up going to ad places at conservatoire drama schools, but I didn't end up going at the end because I was like, I'm not going to learn online. This is ridiculous. Like, I've done a year of my diploma, and like the last couple months were online for us to finish, and it was like, you can't learn off of this, you know? And I feel like COVID kind of like chewed everyone in and then like spat them out. So it was just this place of like, where am I going? What am I doing? I don't have any like A-levels because I dropped out of school because I was unwell. So it's like, oh my God, And I ended up paddling, and we kind of did nationals, and then I paddled for my club at Worlds, and that was really sick, and that's how I went to Hawaii through outrigging. That was fucking dope. And then
It all got a bit more positive then.
yeah, and I kind of just went, I want to do the shit that makes me happy. And don't get me wrong, I've been fucking stressed out in Australia because, like, I have to come back and figure out what I want to do. I might want to train to be a paramedic. Like, I'm actually really into that. I'd love to train and be a paramedic, right? But then, you know, I don't have A-levels. I don't want to study in the UK. It's like, life's fucking stressful. So, yeah.
So I guess go on. I guess the message is that no matter what it appears at face value, like, you've got a big TikTok following, you get to go to all these great places, but at the end of the day, there's still underlying issues and goals that you have that might be tough to reach.
Yeah, and you know, some people, like, social media is a fucking highlight reel, and I didn't want to be that person that falls into the trap of just having a highlight reel.
Yeah.
But also, I didn't want to talk about what I was going through because it's kind of mine. I didn't want to share it with however many people. Like, it's not. I wasn't looking for solace in their response. I didn't want to share what I was going through because I was processing it. And I think it's kind of one of those things about TikTok, isn't it? That, like, a lot of people go on and be like, this is happening to me, I need help.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes you can have the most wonderful support community out there and it can be absolutely incredible for people. But also, you can fall in this very dangerous, like, trap of kind of, like, oversharing and then feeling a bit out of control with what you're doing and how you're feeling. And if you have a lot of people that are looking at you, you can't really process what you're going through. It's very difficult to truly, like, work on yourself and go, okay, what is going wrong right now? When you're kind of so many opinions, and as we said, like, TikTok is a toxic place, you know. So also, I feel like there's been massive. I'm fucking talking, man. Sorry about this, but
No, this is fantastic. Yeah. No, keep going.
My definition of podcast is about talking.
Good shit. Okay, so you know what?
So.
Perfect.
I'm almost transfixed at the moment. I'm sure, yeah.
No, but, like, on TikTok, I feel like, you know how mental health is really kind of, like, blown up on TikTok, but it's kind of become pop culture.
Yes.
So everyone's like, oh my God, I'm depressed.
Well,
And it's like they
ADHD
cry
is a massive
Jessie.
thing right now as well.
Oh my God. And it's, you know what, it's hard. And people are like, oh, there was this whole joke about, oh my God, send me to the mental asylum. I've been to one. It's not fun.
No.
Okay? Let me tell you. It's the worst experience you could ever imagine. And, like, it has seemed to become this, like, pop culture of, lol, I should be in a psych ward. It's like, I understand you try and have a little bit of fun, but you don't understand the depth of certain situations. And I think this kind of understanding of mental health has turned into a complete torrential downpour of misunderstanding mental health and kind of like, oh, I have this, I have that, and oh, you're this and you're that, and don't gaslight me, and don't do this. And it's uncontrollable because sometimes what is happening is not what is being, like, for example, they're not gaslighting, it was a misunderstanding, or you don't have ADHD, you're just a bit forgetful sometimes, you know.
Yeah.
ADHD, a lot of people don't understand, like, mood swings, you know, you can't sleep, there's this, it's not just like, oh, squirrel, which, you know, it's funny.
Yeah.
But, and there is, you know, there are some wonderful traits with people with ADHD, but it's like not being able to work, it's not being able to concentrate, it's lying in bed at night with thoughts and thoughts and thoughts running through your head and going, why the fuck can't I just close my eyes and pass out? You know, it's like feeling like you're missing out. It's poor emotional connections because you get this, there's this like, this is kind of like, you can't regulate your emotions, or you feel there's this what's the word? It's like, there's a phrase for it in ADHD, and it's basically you kind of like hypersensitive to rejection because of the kind of like emotional spikes from that lack of dopamine. And there are so many things that come with ADHD that make it unlivable sometimes. Like, it's a fucking roller coaster, and there's you know it's just mental. Yeah. And people just go, oh, I'm a bit forgetful, lol, ADHD, or like, oh, you're a bit excitable, lol, ADHD. And it's hard, you know? It's like, oh, I've got OCD because one time I put my cup in wrong and I didn't like it. It's like, OCD is intrusive thoughts, and it is like, you cannot escape your own head. Yeah. It's, you know, not being able to function because you're so trapped in this, you know, what your brain is telling you to do, and these intrusive thoughts that you can't escape. And I think TikTok has become a really, really dangerous place for that. And I think it's breeding kind of like a generation of people that have a misunderstanding of mental health and kind of just are too easy to diagnose when, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's good to, as someone who's experienced ADHD, for example, and mental health, it's good to almost put it out there that this isn't normal for people to be
It's-
saying that they've got ADHD because squirrel, for example.
Yeah. It's like a personality trait.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and
Trust me, it's not. You can have mine if you want. You won't enjoy it.
But obviously, you mentioned you were in the wards. Obviously,
Yeah.
would you be okay with touching on that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So obviously, I'll start from the beginning of. I don't know if this is actually where your mental health kind of issues started, but I remember I spoke to Tom before about the finger incident.
Lol. Yeah. It's stumpy. Isn't it cute?
So me and India met sailing. We used to do sailing together.
So just clarify, this is how you lost your finger.
Yeah.
Sailing. Yeah.
Sailing.
Yes. Yes. Shall I explain how it happened, or do you want to explain how it happened?
Kind of basically, we got to the end of the week and we'd all done like our qualifications. We were playing pirates, and I'd kind of
Just so that everyone that.
Oh
doesn't
yeah,
know.
nah, sorry.
Because I said this
Sorry.
yesterday, he tried to explain pirates to me, and I was like,
Pirates.
Cosplay as Jack Sparrow.
Yeah.
Get all
Of
those
course,
massive
yeah, you know,
boats.
yeah.
Yeah, massive wooden boats.
Yeah.
No, so you have your little dinghy sailing boats. Everyone brings like a water pistols, and you jump about, pull the boats down, flip them over, just have a bit of fun for.
It is a little bit dangerous if you kind of think about it. You've got
Well,
this uncontrollable like
Yeah.
10-year-olds, 8-year-olds, 7-year-olds like fucking about, and I found out. So that was what
Let's just
happened.
I was going to say, it does sound like something that your parents would absolutely forbid you from doing, but sounds great fun
Oh, they
for a
will.
10-year-old.
You know what? It is good fun. Like
It's
it's
so good.
it is such a great time. So and you know what's health and safety is going fucking crazy. Like you have to have some fun sometimes. Maybe you lose a finger. Oh, well, life goes on.
Yeah, I mean, it was a massive. It was just very unfortunate.
It was very unfortunate, and the boat hadn't been rigged properly,
No.
and there was. Blah,
Whose
blah,
fault was
blah.
that, India? Whose fault was that?
Get fucked. Anyway, so actually not mine.
No, who did
I
it?
didn't rig the boat.
Who rigged the boat?
Don't remember.
Ah,
I don't remember a lot.
no, that's fair enough. It was a long time ago.
Yeah, no. So yeah, and I'd kind of, I don't know. I think our boat had hit something else, and I'd fallen. It had gone kind of like caught in the boom, and it just gravity did its thing, and
Finger didn't come with you.
no, it didn't. And actually, funny enough, it was right by Brownsea Island, which is like this island in Poole Harbour, right? And where I worked for a while, Shell Bay, which was a restaurant, just overlooked it. So kind of like every day of my work, I'm like, cute.
Memories.
You have to relive it every
Yeah.
single day.
No, yeah, it was actually no, it was really rough, and I didn't process it for a very long time.
Yeah, I was going to
So-
say, how tough was that for you to? Because would you say that was the start of your? No, was it before then?
No, I struggled with. I was bullied for ages in primary school. I was bullied in secondary school. I was overweight as a child, right? And also at the time had undiagnosed ADHD, which I now know. Got diagnosed at 19, but you have to have it in your childhood. So I was struggling with a lot of things, right? Really bad self-esteem, hated my body, was just constantly had shit coming from all sides, right? So I don't think the finger thing caused it. But I think it was definitely a traumatic event, obviously.
Yes, quite traumatic. Yeah.
It wasn't ideal. You
No.
don't kind of expect your Friday to end up in
Yeah.
Salisbury Hospital, but you do. That's what happens. It's life, isn't it? So
I do remember you did. I remember you taking it quite well when it happened. I was told that
I
you
didn't
literally
cry.
had your hand in the water and you were like, "It's fine."
yeah, I did. I was a fucking weapon. All the girls on the boat like crying, screaming, and I'm like,
yeah.
calm down, everything's fine. It's not fine, but it's fine, And I think actually, one thing I do remember is getting on the speedboat, right? Because we have the safety boats.
So there is health and
Obviously.
safety.
There is health and
Yeah.
safety.
Some form of it, yeah.
There's some form of it, and they're there for you, right? And they're kind of like speeding me off, and I'm like, are they going to be able to put it back on? Like, I'm kind of starting to freak out a little bit, and the guy's like, yeah, you're going to be absolutely fine. And I remember, I think that man on the boat telling me that they were going to be able to sort me out was the one thing that kept me from absolutely losing my marbles, because also I was a bubba. I was like, what, 12?
Yeah. 13.
Fucking 12 years old, right?
That's quite impressive for you to keep it together at 12 years old, especially with something like that.
I wouldn't have.
have.
No, yeah, I would have been 13. You would have been 12. That's it.
Yeah. So yeah, it's kind of like I don't think I kind of like you can't. Also, adrenaline kicks in, doesn't it? You go into a bit of survival mode.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of happened. I think the fallout from it was kind of a much longer thing. But yeah, like I don't think it started things, but I don't think it was particularly helpful, because then I ended up getting quite a lot of weight over that summer because I couldn't really do much. So I'd sit and eat because I comfort ate because I had that relationship with food. I kind of unstable emotions, right? As chocolate tastes good. And I ate a lot, and so I gained quite a lot of weight over that summer. And I went back to school, and I got really, really bad, and it was like no break. So yeah, and then I think my kind of like my body image issues kind of spiraled, all this stuff kind of spiraled, and that's really when my eating disorder really set in, and that was wonderful. It was a ride, absolute fucking roller coaster. Don't do it. Just save yourself. Actually, yeah. So I can't pinpoint. This is what caused that.
It's
There
just a
was
lot of factors.
A lot of factors, which
And
is
obviously, and then obviously it spiraled into your eating disorder, and then you did lose a lot of weight.
Yeah, a lot of weight.
And ended up in a psych ward.
I did, not originally. I was actually outpatient at first. I kind of got sent home from school because I went to boarding school at the time, and they weigh you at the beginning of every term, and I'd lost a lot of weight over like 2 months, and they were like, so I've left kind of slightly chunky and come back looking so thin that I would break. We actually had a fire alarm, and I stood outside in the shower. You know how you never want to get caught in a fire alarm having shampoo in your hair?
Oh, wow.
Me. Yeah, so I hadn't even washed my hair out. I'm out. And I just remember this girl coming up and just hugging me from behind because this other chick had just been like, why does her back look like that? Because my spine was just fucking right there. And and she just came over, and I remember she was so lovely. She was such an amazing, amazing person. And just remember her coming over and hugging me and just making sure that no one could see me and pass judgment, which was very sweet of her.
That's amazing.
But,
That's really amazing.
It was really good of her. It's something I've never forgotten. And yeah, kind of outpatient for a bit, and then the treatment wasn't working. I kind of tried to reintegrate back into a school, it didn't work, so kind of ended up stopping eating, stopping drinking, and then they're like, you have to go. So I went, and I was at first there for 1.5 years, and then they were like, I don't know what the fuck to do, because I was only really getting worse. Kind of stabilised, and they were like, let's try her in the community again, 6 months out. And that's when I got really, really bad, because the problem with psych wards are, they're not to make you really better, they're to save your life. And that's a common misconception, because with psych wards, you're around 20 other people that have the same thing that you do. It's a little variation, so you pick up habits, and you're learning things, and you won't have necessarily thought that you'd be doing certain things, then suddenly someone does X in the dining room or is doing Y in their room to exercise or blah, 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 blah. And this entire new world just opens up, and yeah, it was rough. It's really rough. Also, when you're trying to look after yourself and get better, and there are other people that are just resisting treatment. And I was unfortunately one of those people that just didn't want anything to do with it. And so even if you have those sparks of motivation, you're around people that just fucking...
Yeah.
So it's difficult. So yeah, I was out for 6 months again, and then ended up going to an IC, a PQ, because I was sectioned, and got really, really, really unwell again, and kind of had to go into hospital, blah, blah, go off to actually, funnily enough, it was in the same hospital. They were going back to Huntercombe again. I was like, you fucking serious? Because they had 2 outpatient wards. Not outpatient, sorry, 2 open wards, even though the doors were locked. And then 2 PQs, which are higher tier security, so kind of bars on your windows and lock the doors.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, it's fucking sweet. So, yeah, and I was there for about a year. So, but I'd actually got sent back to the first ward the second time, and I was only there for 4 days, and they transferred me to the PQ because I was so unwell I couldn't be contained in that ward, and I required special people were with me 24/7 for a year straight, which was
that sounds very tough.
Yeah, no, you know what, it wasn't ideal. And the thing is, it's you, it's your head. When people have a broken leg, it's kind of like, all right, that's shit, it's my body. There's the common misconception about eating disorders is it's not physicality. It's not just anorexia. It's so much more. It's your mental state. There's not a body type for an eating disorder, right? And it's all in your mind, and you can't escape your mind. It's fucked. And I wouldn't wish it on anyone. I think that's why it's so fucking important for everybody, regardless of gender, regardless of age, regardless of anything. Just, stop putting divides in and just start working together, because people deserve support. People deserve help. People deserve to feel safe in their own body, right?
Yeah.
You can't run away from your mind. And that's why mental health is so fucking important. And it's funny because culturally, Britain has some very toxic like views, right?
Yeah.
And we learn from our parents. We learn from, it's like nature nurture, right? And nurture is so important. So you learn from like all these people, and they think they're telling you, you know, good stuff, but actually it's not. And it's not their fault. It's just all they've ever learned. It's all they've ever known. And that's why it's so important to really kind of like think about what you're up to, think about your views, think about your beliefs, going like, why do I feel like that? You know, why do I feel the need to do this? Why do I feel the need to do that? Is this healthy? Does this help me? Does this help people around me? You know, and like, I think that is one thing that we kind of are coming into now as a society, is actually starting to challenge and question more and going like, no, 2000 start culture was fucked.
Yes.
It was so bad. And then, I mean, you kind of try and step away from it, but people are still trying to use bodies as, you know, a fashion statement, which is fucking ridiculous. But yeah, so I can't even remember the question, but you're
No,
welcome.
that's okay.
We've gone
That was-
on a ride.
I just wanted to just ask, kind of on a very positive note now,
Yes.
is how did you get to the end? How did you get past?
I was about to say the same thing because that was like really moving, all of that. But how did you like how did you bring yourself out of that?
You know what? I had a lot of therapy, which kind of didn't do a lot because I was resistant. And what I think is really important is for people to find that something that is bigger than not just your eating disorder, anything, your depression, your anxiety. You need to, with my eating disorder, it was what was more to me than my ED, because I'd come out, right, and I started going to school again for A-levels. Just wasn't fucking working, spiral, and that's when I just randomly had this really long session with this one therapist, right, who I owe my life to. Her name is Marianne. I owe my absolute fucking life to her, because she was firm but fair, and I was a little shit, but she never gave up on me, and she told me what I needed to fucking hear. And I owe a lot of my first step to her, and I had this long session with her and going, well, what the fuck am I doing? Like, I just don't fucking care. I hate myself, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, she's like, what do you want to do? I'm like, I don't know. I always liked acting. She's like, go and do that. And I remember applying on Friday, right? I messaged this Dorset School of Acting, right? And saw they had this 1-year diploma over 18. I was like, oh, fucking sweet, you know? Anyways, apply. And they're like, we're literally starting on Monday. We have one place, actually, that's just come up because someone's dropped out. Send us an audition tape, right? I send them an audition tape on Friday morning. I had to learn a song. I'm shit at singing.
I remember this, actually.
Oh! Yeah, righto. Anyways, and so I've sent 2 monologues, had to fucking learn some shit. Send it off, and they're gonna go, righto, come in on Monday. I'm like, no fucking way. And I was unwell as shit. But it was just this one spark of thing that was like something for me to hold on to. And that year was fucking turbulent. Christ. But it was meeting people, making friends, making connections, learning about the world. It was normality around me. They were like, let's get fucked up. I'm like, okay, let's get fucked up. It was a really great time. I actually kind of like, I can't often say this, but I really do actually owe alcohol quite a bit. You know, when you get really, really drunk and you start realising that life is quite good. Don't do it on medication though, kiddies. Don't do that.
No, that
Probably not the best
probably
idea.
not the best idea.
Yeah, no. And I can't say that I listened to my own advice then, or don't do it. But
Well,
I
then you
think
can say it with experience then.
I can say with experience, rough. Just fucking don't do it. It's so stupid, you know. But yeah, it's kind of, I had found friends. I'd found people that showed me what the real world was like and what I could have. I could have happiness, and I kind of like, it's a lot of inner work as well. And I was on a CTO, right, which is a community treatment order, which meant that it was like a section in the community. So if I fucked up, I was going straight back to a unit. So I had that incentive. I'm like, I don't want to go back, you know. So there was the incentive there. Then there was this new world that was opening up to me with the drama course, right? And then I had to fucking reflect on my life, right? I'm turning 18. You go to adults. Adult services is fucked. So you never want to end up in adult services because there's no support. If there's zero support in the adolescent services, there is minus 25 in the adult. They do not give a shit about you, and it's really fucking rough. I remember thinking to myself, right, when I'm 80 years old, what life do I want to have looked back on? You know, when I'm 80 years old, am I going to look back on life where I cried over a fucking pizza slice? Where I cried over a yogurt, a strawberry, a banana? Like, what the fuck am I... I get one shot, right? And, you know, we can go on and talk about it, but really what it was just 80 years old, look back at your life. if I've never tried and if I've never pushed myself past this thing that was controlling me. You think you're in control, you have an eating disorder. It's this need for like all this control. In reality, you've got the least amount of control you'll ever have in your life. And that's one thing you don't learn until you've gone past it, right? A lot of stuff is when you move past it, going, oh shit, and looking back, right? It's this dark fucking tunnel and you can't see the end. But I was like, I have got to make choices because I either go this way, and that is giving it a fucking shot, or I go that way and that's just straight back to a ward and living the rest of my life in absolute hell. And I'm not going to say it's easy. I'm not going to say you just wake up the next day and everything's fine. You have some days where you're great and you have some days where you're fucking low. But it takes time. And it's so fucking worth it. And like, it'll take more time than you think it will. And sometimes you'll go back a bit and sometimes you'll go forward a bit. And you know, it's just the way of life, but it's just choices. And you have to make those choices. And yeah, so
That was
it just
perfect.
fucking works.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know if sitting here listening to that was that for you. That was very...
Mate, this is why I love doing this. Just to
Yeah.
speak to people who are so interesting, have such great stories, which is what we've just got. Like,
Yeah.
that you don't hear about that
Thank
every
you.
day.
Thank you very much.
No, it's okay, because you can read up on all this stuff, and like you say, there's this culture of saying, oh, I'll just pop to the psych ward because I've got ADHD. But actually peeling back the layers and finding out what it's actually like is
Yeah.
so crazy to hear.
You see some things you don't forget,
Yeah.
like, honestly. And it's... Yeah.
I mean, I've even learned stuff about you that I didn't know about as well doing this. So, yeah, that was very good. Thank you very
That
much,
was
India.
fantastic.
Thanks
That
for having
very
me.
good. I hope everyone who's watching and listening enjoyed it as well. Do you want to shout anything out?
Anything
Or-
to plug?
Yep.
Highland Spring sparkling water.
Well, go check out the TikTok. Go check out the Instagram as well.
There's going to be,
later.
yeah, it's as in very soon. I've actually, don't put this on there, but I have actually just signed with like new, oh no, you can, it's going to get released on Monday. I'm also quitting my fitness coaching, by the way.
Oh,
Yeah.
should I cut that bit out?
Go for it. No, but yeah, so I've kind of, yeah, quitting that, and I'm starting with Bosch Talent. Started with them.
Bosch?
He works for Bosch.
Wait, Robert Bosch?
No.
Oh, okay.
No,
Wait,
this
which
is-
Bosch?
So Lauren. So it's Bosch Talent is like her and
Oh, I thought it might have been your company.
no.
Can you imagine?
That'd be funny.
Because I've told him to get us a fucking WhatsApp again so many times.
No, it's like a talent. She's talent management, and she. Oh, I forgot I have mascara on my back. I never wear makeup, so I always kind of like pet myself in the eye. Anyways, sorry.
Let's go.
Yeah.
So
So, no.
this comes out not the Tuesday coming up, the Tuesday afterwards.
Oh, sweet. So yeah, no. So I've just started. I've got new management with Bosch Talent, and it actually looking really exciting because I'm kind of also looking to do some things out of the TikTok, Instagram sphere. So
Ooh.
yeah,
So a lot to look for. So keep an eye out for India, basically. That's the plug.
Something to do. Yeah,
I mean, there's also some existing stuff.
Yes.
I looked through and you've got your like
Yes.
your army videos and stuff, like how like different countries' army stuff. They're hilarious.
But
They're
I'm
brilliant.
gonna, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna start really, because I have loads of content from my travels that I just didn't fucking do anything with. But I'm gonna be making videos and I'm gonna start putting more stuff out. And yeah, there's definitely, it's gonna spring to life again, version 2.0,
Awesome.
updated.
I'm
yeah.
very excited.
So, no, it'd be good.
Perfect.
It'd be
I'm very
good.
excited too.
Thank
yeah.
you very much for coming on our podcast. I guess
Thank you,
as the start of the new year, kind of doing content again.
Yeah.
Almost. I mean, I know this is coming out afterwards, but
Yeah, no, it'd be good.
thank you very much. And
Exciting times, yeah.
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 If you guys did enjoy the video, do please like. It does help us out a lot, especially with the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe if you're new around here, and I will see you on the next podcast. Cheers.
Woo!